Welcome back. Happy New Year. Excited to be back with the podcast. On today's episode, I got photographer Raymond Alva. He's a photographer based in Riverside, California, in the Los Angeles area. In this episode, I talked to Raymond about his kind of growing up in Riverside, how he got into photography, as well as some of his assignment work for Billboard magazine and Nike SB. Raymond has a focus in portraiture as well as documentary work, a lot of music photography, and much more. Young photographer, but coming up, making some really great work. So I was excited to get him on the podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. And also wanted to mention, I just created a new website for the podcast. It's thephotobanter.com. You can log on there, and I'm going to be posting the episodes there, as well as I opened a merch store. I got t-shirts and hoodies available now. I'm going to be adding some more stuff. So if you enjoy the podcast and want to help support, it'd be much appreciated. You can go to thephotobanter.com. I got it all posted there. And also, I have to give a big thank you to our sponsor today, PickDrop. PickDrop is a file transfer tool that was actually founded by working photographers with photographers in mind. You can easily drag and drop your photos into custom galleries and send them securely to your clients via links. And you can track everything in one spot and see who's interacting and making notes on your photos. I've been using it for 5 years now, and the thing I like about it, this kind of streamlines my workflow, and I can communicate with my clients all in one spot and track everything. And another cool thing about PickDrop is they're never going to use your photos for AI training, which a lot of these other companies are doing these days, because they are working photographers themselves and understand what it's like to have their photos stolen. So they would never do that without your permission. And with today's episode, if you use the promo code BANTER, you'll get 2 months free of the PickDrop image transfer tool. So definitely go give it a try. All you got to do is go over to pickdrop.com, enter the promo code BANTER, and just let me know what you guys think. All right. Now welcome on Raymond Alva, aka Rapberry. Excited to have you, man. First off, what's Rapberry? Is that like a nickname, or like what's that all about?
Yeah, great question. First off, thank you, Alex, for bringing me on. Huge fan of the show. Literally, like I listen every single, not every day, but pretty close to it. Like I listen a lot.
Thanks, man.
Um, yeah. But yeah, Rapberry. It is a nickname that I got in fourth grade. The story with it was I was at recess with my friends, and one of my friends was drawing our whole friend group as different fruits for some reason, as fourth graders do. And one person was like an apple, one person was like a lemon or something, and then I was a raspberry. And so she drew me as a raspberry with glasses, wearing Jordans on, and I was the only kid who listened to any sort of rap music. And so she titled it Rapberry. And like a year or two later, that's when Instagram came out, and immediately made that my Instagram, and then it's stuck ever since. And then when I got to college, I started learning proper file naming and realized that Raymond Alva photo was rap. And then now that's like solidified. So I actually have the OG drawing is
Oh,
right
really?
there.
That's amazing. I,
Yeah.
I I like the Instagram handle, man. A lot of people don't. Early days Instagram people had like different weird handles. It wasn't their name. Now, not so much, but I like
Yeah.
you're still running with it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I guess it's January 2nd. We're at the beginning of a new year here. I guess to start off, man, I guess first off, like looking back at 2025, like how do you feel about the work you made, and for photographically wise, how do you feel about 2025, I guess for you?
Yeah. 2025 was crazy. I feel like probably like highest highs of my career, and then also like lowest lows
Yeah.
maybe too, in terms of like business wise, just like insanely high points, and like working with dream clients. I started the year last year, the first like job that I did publish was a shoot that I did for Billboard, and that was like my dream client of all time. So like I started with that, and then just got to work with some really fun people. But then like July was like dead silent for me, like absolutely no jobs, which was fine. It was a good break, and I went on a couple like road trips and vacations with my wife, which was sick. But Yeah, I feel pretty good going into the new year though. Got a couple like personal projects I'm excited for, and I don't know. I feel like I'm coming off some really like fun shoots from 2025 too, to kind of give me some momentum. So
Yeah, man, it's exciting to see a lot of the work you made last year. Like I've been following along for a while. And I guess for you, like, are you a person who do you set goals for like the new year? Are you like a resolution guy? Or are you like even for your business, photographically wise, like how do you kind of look into the new year, I guess?
yeah, I kind of do. I don't know. I don't really set a lot of goals like business wise, honestly. I think just because I feel like this industry is so different every single month. And so it's like hard to like, I don't know, set goals for myself in that way because I know that like I literally could get hit up to do a crazy big editorial tomorrow. And like that's not on me at all necessarily. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely, goals set in for that, but I already have like a list of like future people I want to shoot, clients I want to shoot, and that just kind of goes over every year. I don't like make a new list, or necessarily, but I definitely have me and my wife are like taking a weekend and I think next weekend to like really sit down and like, okay, as like as like somewhat newlyweds, like what are goals that we can implement in our life, whether it's like with other like family or community or whatever. So we're gonna start to implement that. So
That's
yeah,
good, man. I was like kind of like the last week of the year for me. I love it because it's just kind of I feel like it's just a week of the year where you kind of, there's not really any work going on for the most part. I rarely get
yeah,
any jobs last week of the year. So it's kind of like the one time a year where you actually have time to like think about
think, yeah.
your life, not even just business or whatever, this your own personal life. And because
Hmm.
you know how it is, you're just constantly going, 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 making work. Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I even get lost in my own work. Like
Hmm.
what do I enjoy shooting? What do I want to do? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you ever feel like that is kind of for
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, rest is like, I don't know, I value rest so much, like so heavily. That's such a huge practice for me. And like I take one day of the week to not like, you know, check Instagram DMs, don't respond to emails. Like I don't work one day of the week. It usually lands on like a Saturday or a Sunday. And so like I'm already like trying to implement that into my life, but like that week in between Christmas and New Year's is like, okay, no one gets anything. This is for me and the family. Like, this is like pure relaxing time and just like resetting. And so I love this time. It's so nice.
Yeah, man. It's I've had to train myself to do that too, because as you know, like as a freelancer, you're kind of everything's up to you.
Yeah.
My friend Cream Black, great photographer from New York. He told me this one time. He's like, what is it saying? He's like, you get what you kill, like basically, like so it's like the
Yeah.
work you put in. So it's like it can be hard to like put it down sometimes because I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I get in my own head like guilty, like I'm not doing enough or I got to do more, like this
Yeah.
type of shit, which is not good, not
Yeah.
healthy. So it's like
Yeah.
it's
And
good.
everyone feels that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like the people at the top level are feeling that. And they're like, oh, yeah, that doesn't go away. And I'm like, God, that sounds exhausting. Oh my God. So
Nah,
I'm like trying to get like a hold on it
nah,
now. But
it's good, man. It's good advice. But I guess to go back, man, like where do you grow up and how do you kind of first discover photography?
yeah. Yeah. So I born and raised in Riverside, California, which is I like to say it's like central Southern California. So I'm an hour to 3 hours, depending on traffic, away from LA, an hour from Orange County, an hour and a half from San Diego, and an hour from Palm Springs. So I'm
Nice.
like literally in the middle of like all the big hubs of SoCal. So yeah, I was born here, raised here. Um, I'm still living here. I went to college out here. And so, yeah, I kind of got in growing up. I was like huge skater kid. Like that was like my thing. I remember when I was in sixth grade, I put in my yearbook that I wanted to either be a pro skateboarder or a professional filmer.
No,
That
no.
was like my thing.
What
And so
what was your first deck, man? What was your first skateboard?
my first deck was a element board.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like a classic like brand element board. It was like the red with like the two boxes on the nose, like split like white and black or something. So yeah, that was my first board.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then how did you kind of first discover photography?
Yeah, so it was kind of fun. I kind of grew up going to like summer camp every year, like from third grade literally until like last year. I went to summer camp with my church for like every single year. Like 1 week of the summer. And so I was doing that all like when I was in elementary, middle school, high school. And when I got to high school, I was a freshman and I got put into a cabin of all like juniors and seniors. And I like immediately when I found that out, I was so bummed and I was like, this is gonna be the worst week of camp ever. Like, I hate this. Like, I'm gonna get bullied. It eventually actually became like the best week of summer camp I ever had. And it was because a couple of those like seniors were photographers and I like naturally just like looked up to them and wanted to do what they did. And so they let me like mess around with their camera. And I'd filmed before with like a little flip camera or like my iPad, like doing skate videos and stuff. But this was the first time that I touched like a stills camera. And after that, I got hooked. And then I got a camera for my birthday the next year, and it's pretty much been nonstop ever since that.
Do you remember what that first camera was?
Yeah, it was the Sony A6000.
Okay, so yeah, straight, you're younger than me, so you're like
I know.
you've been digital, yeah, your
I'm
whole from start.
mirrorless, not even digital. I'm
Damn, that's
mirrorless.
crazy. Yeah, you're young, dude.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
What were you taking pictures of when you first kind of picked up the camera?
Portrait still. Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of always been just like in the lane of portraiture. Which has been cool. I feel like um I feel like I did it. It's always been like a slow progression of my work and like there was no like I don't know, landscape or shooting sports. Like I did yearbook in high school and I was like, you know, uh, doing sports for that, but that was never like a passion necessarily of me. But yeah, it was always portraiture for some reason.
Yeah, I saw on your website or somewhere I was reading like you obviously you've been a skater your whole life and you love skateboarding, but it was
Hmm.
never the camera and skateboarding didn't really mesh till like later. You kind
Hmm.
of started photographing it. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, that's a great pickup. I don't know. I think like I mean, I grew up like looking at Thrasher, looking at Trans World, watching skate videos. Like yeah, Girl Yeah Right is like ingrained in my brain, and like Stay Gold and Fully Flared and everything. Like even my whole life is so determined by like those videos and that media. But for some reason, when I picked up a camera, like my initial thought was not to go shoot that for some reason. Um, and I don't really know why that is, but I think like when I got to college and I started to learn a lot about just like a lot more of like, okay, with this craft, with this tool of photography, like I don't want to just take pretty photos or like cool photos. Like I want to take stuff that actually like resonates, that tells a story that's like meaningful in some instances, but also is like therapeutic in some instances for myself. And like I want to express like the things that I see are beautiful in this world. And a lot of the time that looks like helping musicians create album artwork for music that I think is beautiful. But some of that is like shooting my family or shooting even like I've gotten into still life lately because like I don't know, I really love like wine and I think there's like a huge significance of wine. And so I've been shooting wine like separately. A little bit of a tangent, I'm coming back to it.
No, it's
Um,
good.
but like I think there's like such an importance. I learned in college like there's such a deep importance to like documenting what's truly important to you, like not from artistic perspective, but like just in life, like what do I naturally gravitate towards? So I like made it an effort. I did my senior thesis in college on my local skate shop, Crooks. And so yeah, I like documented them for like 2 years in college. And through that, I was like, I'm not going to necessarily shoot skateboarding. Like, I'm not going to transform myself into a skate photographer because that's not who I am. But I'm going to document the people in that space and just like go skate with them. And then after we skate when we're like hanging out and barbecuing. That's when I'm gonna take photos of them. So
No, that's
yeah.
cool. And also, uh, just from a pure aspect of loving skateboarding, if you enjoy skating, having to carry around your camera is a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you just
No,
want to
real.
enjoy skating. Because even like me, I grew up shooting skateboarding, but even sometimes you're like, I don't want to have to lug this shit around. I just want to go enjoy skateboarding. It's like your
Yeah.
own, like, this thing you enjoy, two separate things a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
because like you can't skate with a huge, camera. But then it's like you don't want to leave the camera in like a bag or something
yeah,
because you don't want it to
then you
get
got to
snatched.
babysit
Like,
it. Yeah, you got to
yeah,
babysit
exactly.
the
Yeah,
camera.
it's lame.
No, that's cool. I guess when you first got that first camera, obviously you went to school later, but like how were you initially kind of learning photography? Was it this kind of like internet, this kind of trial and error, or how are you kind of the early days of shooting kind of figuring it out?
I mean, a lot of internet, like YouTube University was a huge thing for me. I mean, I was like, peak time for that, like mid 2010s. Like there's so much information out there. So that was definitely a huge resource. Also like those photographers that like got me into the craft, like they told me like the basics and everything. And then like a couple of years into it, I started to become, I started to find like more of a community in Riverside and people that older people that I looked up to. I've like always naturally just like hung out with people older than me. And so I found like a group of like a really creative group of people like 4 or 5 years older than me. And so they like taught me, they like I feel like introduced me to like the creative side of photography, more of like the self-expression, kind of like what I was talking about. And so and I'm like still with that group of people, like I'm very, very close with them. I share a studio with them now. We all like kind of run a creative agency called Bleach. And so now like they taught me so much. And now it's like we're still collaborating in a lot of different ways, which is sick.
Yeah,
So,
it's very important, at least for me. Like I know because being a freelance is very much like a solo endeavor at times, and
hmm
I don't have like a ton of friends locally that I talk to, but I have a lot of friends like just talk to on the phone, and like you know how it is. Like I'm
hmm
sure that month, that July month when you're dead,
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
your group of friends kind of helped you like keep your head on the
yeah.
like on
So
track.
much coffee and
Yeah.
like so many just like DMs and yeah. So
Yeah, man, that's
totally.
good. What do you guys do at the agency Bleach? Is it like just kind of like what kind of work do you guys do?
Yeah, a lot of stuff in music. So we primarily work within kind of like the electronic, like DJ techno space. So a lot of like all pretty much everyone who's involved in the agency, we all DJ also. And we also like help kind of run a little techno startup label. And so that's kind of like our world. We do a lot of stuff for uh, we did a lot of stuff for John Summit and Leighton Giordani. Um, Also, the head of the label, Jake, he goes by Lick Hills. He's a DJ in itself, and he designed Blink 182's last album cover.
Wow.
So a lot of uh, like music stuff, but then we also are branching off more into like the immersive art space kind of field. And so, not this past Coachella, but the Coachella before it, we got to work on the visuals for one of the big art installations there. So that was really cool. That was like one of our first like projects as a team, which was insane. Like we got to all go to Coachella and like check all that out, and so that was really cool. But yeah.
That's cool. So like artists, what kind obviously you're doing photo, video, but you guys also just
Mhm.
kind of doing design work. So you kind of
Yeah,
so
yeah,
artists
a
will
lot of
come.
mixed media, a lot of
Okay.
mixed media.
And how do those relationships kind of like form this kind of because I think that's the hardest thing for people listening is like, I mean, looking at your work, I was gonna ask you is like you obviously have built relationships with like different artists and you've gotten to work with different people, but like how do you kind of starting from the ground like build relationships to be able to work on these type of projects? How's it kind of work for you?
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean that's always I don't know, that's like the secret, like everyone I feel like I'm still like asking photographers like, dang, how did you get that job? And it's like it's so different and so hard for everyone, which obviously like like
Hmm.
but like for me for like Bleach specifically, like Lick Hills, he does a lot of that kind of outreach. He's kind of like the face of the company. And he has a long, history of working with these people and doing small single artworks for them. And a lot of it is word of mouth now. I think he's like built such a name for the company in the, specifically like Southern California, like techno and electronic scene. And that's kind of spread out a little bit. And it's like so interesting. Like he just did a show. He headlined a show in Chicago a couple months ago, and we went out there and I shot the show and everything. And when we were in the green room, we had people come up to us and be like, "Dang, like I love what you guys are doing at Bleach. Like that thing's so crazy. Like we got to have you guys come out and do like a showcase here." And we're like, I don't know you. Like you're like, how do you know about Bleach? And it's just like it's the word of mouth is like slowly but surely getting there, and it's been really sick to see. But like for myself personally, like I a lot of the stuff that I'm working on like outside of Bleach, uh, I can honestly like point it back to like two cold call emails or DMs that I sent in like 2016 and in 2021. And like all of my stuff that I do for like Nike, Born Raised, Undefeated, like all the streetwear stuff that I do is from a email that I sent in 2021 where I was asking this one photographer at this agency for a portfolio review. And he responded to me, and he's like, "You don't need a portfolio review. Can you hop on a plane and go to Phoenix next week for a job for me?"
Yeah, that's sick. And that
And ever since then, it's been like I've been doing like Nike stuff, Jordan stuff, like all that kind of stuff is all through that agency.
Yeah, it is. I even have to remind myself sometimes that just cold outreach is you never know who's looking at it, even if they don't
Mm-hmm.
respond. Like I've gotten jobs like years later from emails I'd sent, or even just like personal projects, just like emailing people.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to my friend, this photographer from New York, Josh Lasky. He's a big metalhead, and
Okay.
he told me last night. He's like, yeah, just like cold emailed this like legendary like hardcore like musician that I've looked up to, and I just emailed him, hey, can I come take your portrait? And the guy said yes. And
Yeah,
it's just a reminder, like, unless you ask, you never know, like, there's so many opportunities out there, just kind of, poking the world a little bit, you know?
totally. Yeah. I mean, that's how I got the Billboard thing. It was a cold email and then just like years of like fostering that cold email and like kept sending work. And then, yeah, like a lot of the big musicians that I work with, like Leon Thomas, Corey Henry, like they were all a cold DM that I sent in 2016 to get free photos to a musician. And then like there was an artist manager there, and then he recommended me to another artist manager, and it's just like snowballed ever since then.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You're a part of the community, and you kind of build with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
And then, I guess, when did you start thinking you wanted to pursue this as a career? Because you ended up going to college for photography, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I would say it was like I was a senior in college or in high school. And there was like this moment of like, okay, am I gonna go to college? Am I not gonna go to college? And I went to like a private kind of like college prep school in high school, and it was kind of like a like 90% of the students went to college afterwards,
Mhm.
and I was kind of like it was kind of like a given that I was going to go, but I was very, I don't know, when I'm in a circle of like people that do everything the same, I want to do the
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, no, I don't screw that. I don't want to go to college. Like I'm going to make my own way. Just like the pride overtaking me. And I like, yeah, eventually like I got convinced by my family to go to college, and there was a local college, California Baptist, that they have like a very small photography program, but very rich in resources and connections to the industry. And so I ended up going there. I looked up to all the professors, and not just like I looked up to them, but I like looked up to like their work, and I
Hmm.
was like, "You actually make good work, and you're working right now. I want to learn from you." And so, yeah, I think like that moment that I like decided I was going to go to college, that's when I was like, if I'm going to go to college for this, then this is going to be my full time gig. Like I'm running through with this for sure. So
And what was their program like? Was it kind of like a fine art program, commercial, or what kind of like program did they have at that school, I guess?
Yeah, it was a mix. So how Christopher Curran, he's the head of the program there, and he actually would be a great guest for you. That
Cool.
would be
Yeah,
sick.
definitely.
But he kind of structured the um what's called the program as he likes to call it a mini MFA program. So it's very much like we get the basic stuff in the beginning, but very quickly it jumps into like we have fine art classes, we have commercial classes, and then we have more like project based classes that are more based on like in sophomore year, we're already doing thematic projects on large themes that we're shooting the whole semester. So it's very much like a mix of both. I taught a couple classes there last year, just like picking up some adjunct hours, and I taught location lighting and digital asset management.
Nice.
And so yeah, so it's definitely like a wide range. There used to be like concentration, like you could either pick like the commercial or the fine art side, but now we kind of realized that I don't know, those there's a bridge between those gaps now, I think now more than ever in the industry. And so he kind of decided like, no, I think we all need to be doing the same thing and we
Yeah.
all need to be well versed in all of it. So
Yeah, definitely. I guess,
yeah,
what do you feel like you learn most getting to go to school there and kind of hone your craft, I guess?
I would say I think it was like the understanding of the real world of photography. I feel like I got a very like I don't know, like first semester uh, because we're close to LA, we get to go to all the galleries and all the APA talks and everything. And my first semester at college, I went to go to a Art Schreiber talk, a Frank Ockenfeld's talk, and a Joe Puglisi talk,
Nice.
all in the first semester. And that was like mind blowing for me of like, whoa, this isn't just like the YouTubers that I've been following and like were my favorite photographers. Now it's like a whole nother level. And I feel like this program kind of like shaped me and gave me a real world scenario of like, this is how you do it. It's not just like taking photos of like, of seniors or families. Like you can make some real money in this.
Hmm.
And you can treat it like a real job. If you treat it like a real job and if you run it like a real business, then
Yeah.
if you take it serious, then it'll actually pay off and it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
So
And were there like kind of any early, you mentioned three guys, any photographers that kind of influenced you like early on when you were going to school, I guess?
yeah, shoot, I went to go look over at my photo book section and I realized that it's not there. I just moved it to my studio. But in high school, my like favorite photographer was like Fred Mortagna. Do you know Fred?
Oh yeah, French Fred,
Skate?
Manic
Yeah,
Marty.
French
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah.
French Fred. Yeah, I think that's how you say his last name. I don't know. Mortagna?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like, which is interesting because like he was shooting a lot of skateboarding, but like I wasn't shooting skateboarding. But I feel like his style, like his visual approach, like shaped so much of like my black and white work, which like I'm huge black and white, and so he was like a huge inspiration. Frank Ockenfeld, like I mentioned, is a huge inspiration, and he was like all throughout college. He was like insane. Nick Fancher was also a huge inspiration for me at the time, and it's still like he's incredible. And then over the time, it started in college. I started to get a lot more into documentary photography and learning more that side. So like Philip Montgomery, Matt Black, Mary Ellen Mark, like they were like my heroes at the time in college. So
Yeah,
it was
that's
like finding the mix of all of those was like how, yeah.
yeah, that's the cool thing about your work. It is a real mix of like you do these like could be studio portrait like really well lit, but then you also loved looks like you enjoy doing like documentary work and like how do you kind of balance the two, I guess?
It's an everlasting trying to figure it out. I think for a long time I was very much in this, mind space of I need to be a certain photographer. Like you grew up in college, you hear all the time like you need to find your niche, you need to find it. And then I just kept looking at all my favorite photographers and I was like, wait, but they don't have a niche, like I look at Annie Leibovitz's career is like such an inspiration for me because it's like you look at her early work before she went to Rolling Stone and it's all like very deep, intimate, like portraits of her family and her parents. And then it's like Rolling Stone and it's she's on tour and she's shooting these album and magazine covers and then Vanity Fair and she's doing all this like uh this beautiful portraiture, just like classic, elegant. And then it's like all the American Express like ad work, which is just like so timeless in black and white and just like beautiful commercial work. And so I look at her and I'm like, it's so beautiful, like how she's able to blend every kind of photography. And like, that's what I want to do. And like, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into like just shooting portraits. Like, I just want to shoot whatever. Um, and I'm like fine with it. Anything interesting, anything that I feel like has like a real story that I feel connected to, then I want to shoot it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if the work's good, it speaks for itself. And and there's still even stylistically, like looking at your work, like obviously some of the more portrait studio stuff is yeah, like lit and more might be a
Mm-hmm.
little more retouch or whatever, but even just like looks like you like rich blacks, like contrast and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So it kind of even though it could be documentary, it kind of like all it's still in the same umbrella of like stylistically a little bit. I feel like when I look at it, so that it's cohesive, I guess.
That I
Yeah.
appreciate that because
Yeah.
that's always going through my head. I'm always second guessing that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt. And then I guess like when you got out of school, like what was your goal? Like did you go straight into shooting or you do any assisting or what was kind of your first
Hmm.
step into the real world as they say, you know?
Yeah, the real world. Yeah, so after I graduated, so actually when I was in between my junior and senior year, I decided to move out to LA for 3 months. So the summer in between my junior and senior year, I moved out to LA and I got a job at Screaming Broccoli, which is a rental house in LA. It's who Art Schreiber uses, Frank, they all use it. Sean and John, they use Screaming Broccoli as well. And so I worked there for 3 months, kind of like that was like my entry level into like assisting. I just wanted to like learn the grip. I wanted to learn the lingo. I wanted to just like drive all the grip trucks to the sets and everything. And that was a great time and a great period. And I met so many people through that. And I
Do they have a studio space or is it strictly just like a rental house?
just a rental house. I
Yeah.
think they're building a studio right now because they just moved locations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a grip house right now. Which was like still I still learned so much and like we would always test the gear and everything. And so that was cool. Even through that, like I was like cold calling a ton of emails or a ton of photographers asking for portfolio reviews at that time, kind of like preparing myself for when I graduated. I was like, I'm not assisting a lot right now. I'm going to assist a little bit, but I just want to like feel the ground. And so I started assisting Robbie Klein at that time, which was a really, whenever he was in LA, I would assist him. And then through that, I, you know, eventually went back to college, did my senior year. And after college, I started the Art Schreiber internship. So I was with Art, working for him the full year after I graduated. And that was like, Scream Broccoli like opened my eyes and Art kind of like, it
Yeah.
was insane,
Once he opened that garage door and you see how
bro.
organized all his
Yeah,
shit. Yeah, break it down to the
insane,
people that don't know. Art Schreiber has
insane
this gear closet that is like he
dialed.
he like dial's not even it's just like
Yeah,
in he has every little piece of gear like organized. He had like custom made tags for
yep. The
certain
horse tags
yeah,
or
the
the cow
horse
tags.
tags. And then
Yeah,
he had
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
his film archive up until like if he wanted to find something he shot when he was in college, he could find it like that.
Yep.
It's insane. But what did that internship look like? Because I know it's he's been doing it for years, and then they have what's the end of the year? They just had at the end of the year party where all
Photo dork.
yeah, photo
Photo
dork.
dork.
It's like a
Yeah.
big end of the year party he has with all the former interns. But what did that kind of internship look like for you, and like what do you kind of take away from it, I guess?
Yeah, so it was interesting because when I came into it, it was like COVID happened 2020, and for a couple of years, they kind of like paused the internship just because a lot of stuff wasn't happening. And then there was a couple of interns. My friend Anthony interned for before me, and he was still like in the office a lot. Like Art would invite him to do office work, but then he was going on set every once in a while. But then when I came in, I actually co-interned with another photographer, David Fouts, who's a good friend of mine. He's part of the studio that I shared, Riverside.
Nice.
But we both would, instead of like Art bring us into the office and us doing like office work, like seeing the back end, he would just automatically bring us on set. And so the internship for us was essentially just a photo assistant, like a seventh or an eighth photo assistant on set, which is insane. Maybe not that much. It was like four or five.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we were mainly just on set doing just like everything we could, going to get the coffees, going to bring the gear in and out of the truck. It's regular photo assistant stuff, but um, he made it very clear. He's like, I know most of the interns, they come into the office, and the beautiful thing about that is you're able to like sit down with me and like ask me anything. And you're seeing me in meetings with clients, you're seeing my emails, like you are literally getting everything. And he's like, because you're not getting that, anything you want to know, ask me and we will get coffee. And so I like took advantage of that, and I was like, okay, every month pretty much like I'm going to reach out to you and I'm going to like ask you about something. And so there was like different days when we would talk about like, you know, file management or like usage or like building a budget or all the different things. And I feel like he gave me such like a huge crash course on like how to properly run a business. Um, and like so many things that I implement into my business are because of him 100%. So,
Yeah, definitely. He's been helpful to me too, and I know he ends with dozens of people, probably hundreds. It's
hundreds
like
for sure.
because a lot of people are very like, I understand it's so competitive. They don't want to share anything about money or like what you charge,
Hmm.
but like, and from seeing how he does it, like he's been very open. Like he helped me. Like asked him for some advice on this shoot, and he sent me the whole breakdown of like something similar that he shot, like
Hmm.
the invoice, everything, and this was like so helpful because I think it's like now more than ever is like if we can all like help each other, it's like everyone's gonna benefit. I think it's like so no
Yeah,
one's like constantly undercutting. So it's like I don't know. I have no problem being open either because I want to keep
same.
keep doing this for 10 years. But
Yeah,
it's an uphill battle. But the more people I think we can get to this help everyone else out, it'll be a positive thing.
yeah, yeah. He was a huge resource. And what was really interesting was I would see him on set, and when we were on set, like I was just like studying. I was like, okay, now he's talking to the client. Now he's focusing on the subject. Now he's focusing on the light. Like I was really studying like how exactly he ran a set. And then during that time, like I was also assisting other photographers, and I was digiteching for Danielle Levitt a lot at that time.
Legend.
And legend. And like seeing her on
Completely
set,
different. Completely different.
insane compared, insane. So like they were my two frames of reference for running a professional, whether editorial or advertising campaign. And seeing both of them was like, whoa, I can do anything.
Yeah.
I can like run it how I want, but as long as I'm professional, that's what matters. And
Yeah.
like both of them, like they have their own flavor, very much so. Art's got the suit and the boots, and Danielle's got the crazy hair and is,
So
just
much energy.
screaming 80s music, throughout the whole time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
it's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. You got to work with Danielle. She's like top my list, like favorite photographers, just because like
Hmm.
just the enthusiasm she brings to what she does, and she shoots so much different stuff. Like she shoots
Hmm.
like commercial, editorial, then she'll shoot like fashion, and then she shoots like all those cool like documentary projects of like
Yeah.
youth and
We are
stuff.
experienced. Yeah, all the youth stuff. Yeah.
Dude, it's insane. Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess like obviously the hard thing going from assisting to start doing your own assignment work, like how do you kind of first get some of your first assignments and like how are you kind of marketing yourself to clients, I guess?
Totally. Yeah. So it was like interesting because when I was like in high school, I was working with clients. Like I was working with musicians, rappers, and like I was doing the thing already. And all throughout college, like that was my job essentially. And so I was kind of treating college as like full time working, but also full time in school. And when I graduated, it was kind of like, okay, I'm 1/3 of my time is shooting, 1/3 of my time is digiteching, and 1/3 of my time is assisting, like just
Hmm.
pure photo assist. And that was like really how I split all my time. And it was awesome. And I learned so much, but I was still like, I never let off my foot off the gas from shooting. And so I continued researching and, emailing and doing the cold email stuff and everything and keeping my Instagram up to date and marketing myself and developing just my brand of who I was. And it eventually got to a point where I was emailing with photo editors and they were responding and they were like, thank you so much for sending your work. And then a week later, I was assisting on a job for their publication and they were on set
Hmm.
and they saw me as a photo assistant.
Yeah, yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be seen as a photo assistant,
Yep.
which is like I love that time and I think that there's like so many great photo assistants and like they're so needed. But I think for me personally, I like I joined this industry to shoot and
Yep.
like I just have such a passion for like creating still imagery and I was just like I don't know, like I needed to be yeah, it's a hard thing to like realize and like understand and like come to grips with, but I was like I think I want to be the shooter. And so got to a point and then I just had to like just explain to I talked to some people and just like came to the conclusion that I had to stop assisting and had to take the golden handcuffs off because assisting pays very very well, but if you stay in it for too long you'll kind of get locked into it, and I didn't necessarily want to get locked into it. So
Yeah, and sometimes you got to take a step back to go forward, you know? Like
exactly, yeah.
that's how I did. I assisted for like 10 years and then I stopped assisting, had some other that's like crappy like retail jobs because I was just like
Hmm.
I'm gonna work on my work and then that's how I kind of did it that way. But everyone has a different path, but I definitely
Yeah.
understand that. Let
Yeah,
me
and now it's been 2 years now of shooting full time. So I made that jump 2 Januaries ago, and so now it's yeah, I think it's paid off, but yeah,
Hell
I
yeah,
don't know. We'll
man.
see.
Well, I'm gonna pull up this shoot you did last year for Billboard, which you said was one of your clients you always wanted to work for. Had you been marketing your work to them for a while, and like what was kind of this process of this project, I guess?
Yeah, so this was an insane, probably like one of like I would say my favorite shoot I've ever done, just because I felt like it was my whole career kind of leading up to this moment. Um, and so when I graduated college, I had this list of like clients, like all time clients that I want to shoot for. And Billboard was number one on that list. And they were always like, one of the biggest music magazines. I shoot music. This is like epitome. And so I remember when I started doing all my research after college and finding all the photo editors and photo directors and I found the director of photography, Jenny Sargent, um, and I sent her or I followed her on Instagram, and like a day later she followed me back, and I was like, oh my god, she followed me. Oh my god, oh my god, like what do I do in this moment? And so I called Art, and I was like, okay, Art, what do I do? How do I capitalize on this moment? And he's like, send her an email. Like that's it. Like just send her an email.
Yeah.
And what was cool was my wife had just she had graduated from nursing school and she had just got her first nursing job. And as a celebration, we decided that we were going to go to New York. And because of that, I was like, Billboard is in New York. The offices are there. Jenny lives there. I'm going to send her an email. I'm going to mention that we just followed each other on Instagram, and I'm going to ask to get coffee. And so I did that. And then I went to New York, and she sent me an email back saying that she was not in New York because she was in LA the exact days that I was there,
Yeah.
which that was like a thing. But we ended up hopping on a Zoom call though, regardless, showed her my work, talked with her, um, and with her and Sam, who's also at Billboard. And that was like, it was awesome. And, they explained the process of everything. And it was just great getting to know them and hop on a call. And then uh, that was in 2022, I want to say.
Was that the year I ran into you at the AP party?
No,
Okay.
or that was a different trip actually. That was a
Okay.
different trip, but I think it was the same year. I think that was in 23.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this was earlier that year, and then uh, hopped on that call, and then I was like, okay, when is this Billboard job gonna come through? When is it gonna come through? Okay, 4 months have passed by. When is this job coming through?
Yeah.
And it was just like it was a really good learning opportunity for me to be like, okay, like just because I had a meeting doesn't mean I'm going to get the job. Like I got to keep working.
Yeah.
I got to keep doing my thing, keep producing work. Like, life doesn't stop for this one,
No,
potential client.
no.
And so I kept doing my thing, kept sending them emails, sending them updated work. And uh, I even like when I met you at the AP party, which was that next year, I had like my little promos and I emailed them asking to give them a promo and ended up not being able to meet for some reason. And so it was like literally like 2 years of constantly sending them stuff. And uh, then eventually, like 6 months after my last email to them, I randomly got an email from them saying, like, hey, do you want to shoot Big X the Plug in LA next week? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
okay, like these 2 years have finally paid off.
Yeah. That's
And
amazing.
so, yeah, and I feel like just working on that job, working with Big X and his team, like we really clicked. And I actually got to work for, he has a label, 600 Entertainment, and I got to shoot some press photos for other people on that label too, a couple months after this, which was really cool.
Nice.
Um,
And then like
so
for this
yeah,
assignment, like how much like direction did Billboard give you and like what was kind of your approach going into your first Billboard shoot? Was it like a nerve-wracking thing, pressure? Like how do you kind of approach this actual making this work, I guess?
yeah, I was super nervous. This and the Nardwar shoot are my most nervous I've ever been.
Yeah.
Um, just because, I mean, one, it's Nardwar. I mean, are you kidding me? But then with this, it was like they didn't give me a ton of direction, honestly. They were just like, okay, you guys are going to this studio. Video is priority. They're going to do an interview, and then you'll get, an hour and a half with him or so, like after the video.
Damn, that's
And
pretty
then, so
that's good time.
it was good. Yeah. It didn't end up being that long. It ended
Yeah.
up being like 25 minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I
So
figured.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But prepping for it, so they gave me like full creative freedom. They didn't even ask for like a mood board or anything, but I built one out. I sent it to them, and they were like, "Yeah, this looks awesome. This would fit him super, super well." And they were kind of like, "Just be warned, like we've done shoots with Big X before. He doesn't like necessarily give you a lot of energy.
Yep.
He like Daniel Dorsa shot him a couple months prior to this, and it was just funny. Like they were like he did not give Daniel like anything. Like it
Yeah.
was like
Yep.
very stoic, and it was very much the same for this. And so I had to like bring a football. I had to like give him props to kind of interact with.
Hmm.
And I did a lot of research, like listening to interviews. I listened to his, um, oh my God, was it Theo Vaughn? I think. Yeah, I think he did an interview with Theo Vaughn, and I listened to that thing like two times or like two or three times, and it's like an hour and a half interview.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did a lot, listen to his music a ton. I wasn't super familiar with his stuff before, but um, now I listen to him all the time. But yeah, he was a great collaborator, and like I don't know, I told him that he could like smoke when we were on set, like smoke some weed, and he's like, I could smoke during this. And immediately after that, he was like locked in, and he was like, "Okay, you got my attention. Like we're good to go." So that was really sick.
So
But yeah.
so this like it was like a studio space. Did you kind of like scout the location beforehand? And was it because you didn't have that much time, 25 minutes? So is it kind of like
hmm
you had to do certain amount of setups and you're just kind of like bing, bang, boom, boom? Or like how did the kind of the flow of the shoot go for you?
Yeah, so I had three setups. Well, I just got there like mad early. I got there like 3, 4 hours before I was even supposed to take any stills.
Yeah.
But how they had it set up was they were doing video before they did like an hour long interview with him, and then after that, I was doing stills. And so even when video was getting set up, I was scouting and getting all my stuff, testing light with my assistant David, and I had everything like dialed, like light. I had markers set on the ground. I had power on my light, and it was like run and gun. Like we knew what we were doing right when he was ready. So luckily, like because of art and because of like seeing how much he preps with like his celebrity shoots,
Mm-hmm.
I was like comfortable in that setting and like yeah, like I don't need that. Like I could do this in 10 minutes. Like let's go. Like I'm totally whatever you guys need.
Yep.
And that definitely like paid off and had my light dialed and everything because of that. So
Ah, that's great. It came out good.
thank you.
And then you mentioned it. I had to ask about the Nardwuar. Anyone who's not familiar with Nardwuar, man, this legendary music interviewer, like been around for
Yeah.
decades. Like been
hmm
he was doing this shit before YouTube, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Is for this was for Nike SB, so commercial project. But
hmm
when you got the call for this, like what was kind of going through your mind and like how do you kind of approach this project?
Yeah. This was insane. What was crazy is like this was one of those ones where I kind of like spoke it into existence a little bit. I was, yeah, I was on another job for Nike and we were just like talking like during lunch or something and they were talking about the Nardwuar shoot and I was like, you guys are shooting with Nardwuar? And they were like, yeah, you know who he is? And I'm like, yes, I know who, like he's on, like I have a list of all time people I want to take portraits of and he's on that list and I showed it to them and they were like, oh, we don't have a photographer yet.
Yeah, like
And I was
yeah,
like,
man.
and so then the next day they like hit me up and they're like, "Hey, we want you to shoot it." And it was just like such a beautiful like project to be a part of and like I mean just especially cuz he doesn't do like stuff like he doesn't do portrait shoots very often.
Yeah.
Um like I don't even know of any like, legit portrait shoots that I've seen of him besides like his own press imagery that he has like from early 2000s on his website or Instagram or whatever, but um yeah, so this was definitely like a bucket list shoot for sure.
Was this guy a pro skateboarder?
Yeah, both of
D
them were.
DJ
Yeah, DJ.
Chavez. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
then what's that guy's name?
I forgot his name.
Blank. I feel like he's came for Black Label or something. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So they own Kingswell Skate Shop in LA,
okay.
and that's where Nardwuar did a meet and greet there
Oh,
for the
Patrick
new shoe
Melcher. There it
release.
is. Patrick Melcher.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Um,
That's like so like what was kind of did obviously it's commercial shoot so Nike SB had like creative direction on this or like how did you kind
mhm.
of approach making this work?
Yeah, they had full creative on it. But what was so cool was like that night, like before they sent creative, I like was talking to my wife and I was like, this is exactly what I do. Like I want to do bright background. I want to do like almost direct flash, like paparazzi in your face, bright colors.
Yeah.
And then the next day they sent me the deck and I was like, oh, we're completely aligned. Like this is beautiful. This is so good. So yeah.
That's funny. And how was Nardwuar to work with?
He was awesome, super engaging. I feel like if I wanted to shoot for like more time, like if I wanted to shoot for 3 hours, he would have been down. Like
Yeah.
he was like he kept coming up with ideas, I kept coming up with ideas. And it was just like because of time, we had to move on, but he was a great collaborator and super nice and like he's like, "Do you want a photo? Do you want a photo? Like, do you want me to sign anything for you?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I could ask for that. Like, oh my, like I'm not used to
You did the
being
video,
able to
didn't
do that.
didn't you do a
Yeah,
video boop ba doop or what's his saying at the
do
end?
do do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was incredible, dude.
yeah. I asked him for an interview, and yeah, that was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's going in my top 10 videos of myself ever. Yeah,
No,
insane.
No, it came out great, and also this kind of like you said, like it's a reminder just to let people know what you want to do, because otherwise, like
Yeah,
if you have those opportunities to talk with editors, and it's like not even like a, I think some people think you're like annoying or something, but I don't think it has to be that way. It's be like, hey, like just throw out ideas, and who knows? I mean, you got to shoot
yeah,
nardwuar, so that's cool.
exactly. So that's like just more motivation to just keep saying it and just like keep saying your interest too. Like it's like I DJ, I skateboard. I would love to take portraits of DJs and skateboarders. Like that's just like it just comes up naturally. So
Definitely. And then in terms of like I guess kind of finding your voice as a photographer, um how have you kind of found your voice? Obviously, like I guess let me try what I'm trying to say. Like
mhm.
this, how do you approach this, the aesthetic and kind of creative look of your work? Do you feel like it's something that's kind of constantly evolving? Is it something you think about a lot, or like kind of how do you approach that aspect of your work?
Yeah, I think it's like it is something that I am constantly like thinking about, and I feel like I'm like constantly trying to get myself to not think about it. And it's like people tell me all the time, like, "Oh, your work is so like consistent. Like, how did you find your style?" And I'm like, I don't know because like I feel like I'm still trying to find it, but
Hmm.
like there is a visual style, and I think that just comes from like just honing in on like what do I enjoy looking at and like what color palette and what I don't know. My stuff is at times can be very like dark and gritty and real. Yeah, so it's interesting because I feel like I'm still finding it, but I don't know. I'm always, the artist is always their worst critic, and so but I think it is just like yeah, understanding what I like and like following my gut too. I think like that's like a huge thing. Like I need to try and like not second guess it. Like if I like something, then I just need to do it,
Yeah.
despite of if it falls in line with my past work or whatever. So
Yeah, because that's because even the Nardwuar shoot, like I wouldn't think of you as like a direct flash guy really for a lot of your work.
mhm,
So that was kind of like a little different. So that's cool. You weren't afraid to do something a little different than like some of your other portrait shoots.
exactly. Yeah.
Let me pull up this one project you have on your website, personal project called Grow.
Mm.
How'd this kind of project come about, and like what was kind of your goal making these photos?
Yeah. I'm super happy you brought this up actually, because I think this project was a huge kind of like inspiration for my work. I feel like so this is Grow essentially is dealing with the concept that we're all growing in some shape or form, no matter what area of life we're at. So whether you are a child like my niece and nephew, who is literally learning life for the first time, or you are a newly married couple moving into your first house together. That this is my wife, or you are a maybe grandparent who is or parent who's trying to help your kids or grandkids not make the same mistakes that you did growing up. And so through this, like I was very when my nephew was born, I was just so like inspired by just like the concept of like being a kid and like literally learning life for the first time. And it was just like I don't know. It's so fascinating to me. Like we all come into this world not knowing anything, and we all like are constantly growing into something. And depending on how you're raised, depending on what efforts you put into your own life, you will either end up a very happy and joyful and generous and giving person, or you will end up a very grouchy and prideful and to yourself isolated person. And it's a really hard like thing to understand and something that I feel like you kind of have to be mindful of. And if you're not mindful of it, then you're going to be that isolated and selfish person. Um, and so through this, like I wanted to kind of like show all the different stages of life of where those instances kind of come up and how we, sort of learn to become who we are. And I think in doing that and asking ourselves those questions, I think we begin to give grace to other people and like everyone is constantly learning something. And if you think about like how hard it is to like learn a new craft or like learn something about yourself, like that's so insanely hard. Like therapy, for example, like therapy is all about learning about your past and how it can help you in your future. And like that is so hard to do. And I feel like this project like helped me, I think, have a little bit more grace for people and where they're at in their life.
Do you feel like you learned that in the process of making these photos, or is that something you feel like you're already thinking about before this project, I guess?
I think it was definitely like I think I was thinking about it a little bit. I think like faith is a huge part of my life, and so like, I like grew up in the church, and it naturally just comes out in my life, and so that's a huge part of just my faith. Just like learning myself and learning how I can just improve my life to be a more loving and careful person to others. And so I was already thinking about that a lot, but I think this project kind of helped me see it in a new way, I think. A lot of this work is shot on film too, so like spending time in the dark room and like printing all this stuff and understanding, I don't know, just spending time with it in a different way, I think helped me a little bit. And this work is constantly evolving. I'm still shooting this work. When I was 21, I came out with like a little book zine of this project, and that was when my nephew was like two or so or three. Um, and that's kind of like the part one. And my kind of idea for this project is to keep shooting this. And when my nephew turns 21, the same age that I came out with the first project, I want to come out with the second edition of it.
Damn.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of like my kind of framework for this very long term. I don't share even this work a lot on like my social media, but this is like my personal documentary work that I'm constantly shooting every chance I get. I'm constantly trying to document the people around me. And there's also another element of this work that's really interesting is like I grew up in the time of uh like I was born in 99, which sorry to date myself, but I grew up not necessarily with like film photography. I did not grow up with like looking at prints of my childhood. I grew up with like looking at my mom's like iPhone photos of
Yeah,
my
that's
childhood,
crazy.
and like the iPhone came out in 2008, so there was like a little, there was like handy cams and stuff like that like prior to that, but
Yeah.
um there was a time in, I think it was like 2015 or 2016, like all my mom's phone photos were either on her phone or on a hard drive, on an external hard drive, and that external hard drive broke. And I lost, there's a huge chunk of my childhood that is just lost.
Yeah.
Um, and because of that, like I started to realize the importance of like documenting your family and like backing that up.
Yeah.
And so, like, for a lot of this work, like, some of this work is not my family, but most of it is,
Yeah.
my parents, my niece and nephew. Um, and so I just started to really understand, like, the importance of, like, documenting your family, making sure it's backed up safely, making sure there's prints of everything, and like understanding that like these moments are so valuable to just like my family history and to my history.
Yep.
And if like a hard drive fails and I lose everything, then it's like we almost like lose the memory in a way, because that's how powerful photos are. Like, I talk about it a lot with people where they're like, I don't know if I remember this or if I just know the photo of that memory when I was like 4 years old,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's so important. And like all these are from like when I was in college, and it's like such distinct memories that I, live on because of photography. And, this project is kind of like my hopes in like helping move that forward as well.
Yeah, man, it's amazing work. And this reminder just to photograph your family and the people that are most important in your life. Like, like shooting all the cool like Billboard and all this is great, it's fun, but this is like at the end of the day the
This
so
is the stuff. This
yeah,
is the
man.
stuff.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I'm getting back into making this 4x5 prints and making like old
Hmm.
albums because that's what I grew up with. Like I still have my childhood albums where it's this 4x5 prints and like those this cheap like fake leather albums you can buy at Walmart or whatever.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
That
yeah. That's
that's my
fire.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff, man. What made you want to shoot film for this, I guess? Because being that you came up with you started with digital, what made you kind of want to jump into that?
I think the main kind of component of it was I started this project like in COVID, like right when COVID hit.
Hmm.
And at that time, I was very like, I don't know, I think a little bored of photography. I think I was very much like, I was sitting at my house, quarantined and like, okay, what are we doing? Like, I need to shoot something. I need to learn something new about this craft. And so that's when I started to like really get into film and I bought all the chemicals and the Patterson tanks and everything and started developing all myself and scanning and printing and all the things. And just through that, like, I don't know, I just started, it was out of like, kind of curiosity of wanting to do the process and then it kind of turned into this idea of like nostalgia feeling and having if we're thinking about this idea of like creating this photo album for my family, it's photo albums in the old days were all film, and so I wanted to like kind of continue with that theme and that feeling that that film has. Now I don't shoot a lot of that work on film just out of like cost,
Yeah, dude, it's fucking insane.
uh yeah, and because like I want to shoot so much of it, like
What are you shooting it
it's
on
just
now?
X Fujifilm X100V.
Okay,
Yeah, so this guy right here, I just got there's like a
the
28
Godox flash.
millimeter.
Is that the
Yeah, with the
Godox flash?
Godox.
Nice.
hmm Yeah, so dude, I have shot. I was about to go on a trip to go visit some family, and I went to Sammy's Camera in LA to go buy film, and they were out of film. So then I went upstairs to see if they had one of these, and they had one in stock. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this,
Yeah,
and
those are hard to
that's like,
those cameras are like whenever they release a new one, it's like everyone gets excited, but it's just like,
yeah,
yeah, good luck finding one.
yeah, yeah. So I got that thing in 2021, I think. It was like a couple months after it released, but it was like before they were like super popping.
Yeah.
And so I lucked out and yeah, so and a lot of the like my skate project that was like all shot primarily on that camera.
No,
Um,
that's
yeah, it's
sick.
a fun little camera.
Hell yeah. And one project I wanted to talk to you about, well, not project, but I think it was like a commercial shoot you did with
Mm,
was Nike SB with Sponto, rest in peace, founder of
yeah.
Born and Raised, which is a really popular clothing brand in LA, around the world. Unfortunately passed away a few years ago. I guess how'd this project come about and how do you approach making these photos, I guess?
This project was a lot of it stood out and it's really interesting because like one, I was so excited to shoot with Sponto. This was right before his new Nike SB Dunk came out, the Born Raised Dunk that came out in 23, I want to say it came out. I think that's when we shot this. But to celebrate the release of the shoe, they were going to Venice High School, the high school that he went to when he was younger, and they gifted a pair of the shoes to all the graduating seniors. So beautiful day. It was awesome. Esteban was there. They're really good friends. So also like getting to meet him was like insane. Like I've looked up to his work for a while. And just like growing up streetwear skate culture, like born and raised was just it was a great experience. And so yeah, that was really fun. We shot this for the Nike sneakers app, and so all the photos kind of lived there and then on social media. And but the crazy thing about this shoot was Sponto, for those that don't know, passed away um, 2 weeks after the shoot. And so he didn't even get to see this project get released. Didn't get to see the shoes released publicly. They were supposed to come out. I think he passed away in June, I want to say, of that year. And we shot this early in the June. And then the project was supposed to come out in August or something, and then ended up getting pushed back to like October or November. So yeah, that was a really crazy thing to be a part of. One, just in the first place because of just how amazing of a day it was, but then after the fact, like thinking about that was probably the last professional shoot that Sponto did. Um, so yeah, it definitely holds a special place in my heart, and yeah, means a
How is
lot for sure.
how is he as a collaborator on the shoot and kind of getting to work with them?
He was super nice, super just like generous, and like even like right before we shot this, he was very just like interested and like wanting to talk, and like it was a pretty packed day, but still giving a time of day. And I loved like being able to see like how he interacted with all the kids, and like even like these kids, they were like, oh yeah, I'll see you next week, like they were like homies. And he was so adamant about like giving to the next generation, and paying everything that he had been given forward. And so it was really special to see, and definitely made me like appreciate him and appreciate the brand so much too.
Yeah, I never got to meet him, but he was friends with like some mutual friends, and
Hmm.
everything you read about him is just like just did so much for the community, and also just like inspiration that like he built a brand from nothing, and it's just
Yeah.
like a worldwide brand at this point, and just this kind of did it himself, just built it from the ground up. It wasn't like some corporate thing. It was just
Hmm.
pretty amazing the impact he built, and obviously had a lot of passion for his city of Los Angeles.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So
That's
yeah, it was a
awesome.
special one for sure.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, that's amazing. Cool. I'll cut it there. Uh,
Sick.
yeah, I'm glad we talked about it because it is such that photo. I love the photo of him. Let me pull it up. This one's my favorite. You got a lot of good ones. Did you basically spend the day with them?
Yeah, it was a whole day.
That's
Hmm.
sick.
Yeah. So
Esteban.
we were doing portraits first half of the day, and then or we did some portraits with the car and Esteban in the beginning of the day, and then we did the gym with all the kids, and then
Yeah,
that was craziness. And then he was like signing autographs, and then we did these afterwards. This was like the last shot.
that's sick. Yeah, I like this portrait. It's just like just the whole. And also I like that you got a cloudy day, which is like rare.
Yeah,
It is because so much LA is this bright sun. It is. I don't know. It's just a whole different
it's
vibe.
June gloom.
Yeah,
June gloom.
man.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it's good though. This has a good color to it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I guess to wrap up, man, like um you're still kind of early days of your career, but you've started to accomplish some stuff. What advice would you give to, photographers listening who are just kind of starting out? It's a new year. What advice would you have to them who kind of want to pursue some similar stuff that you're working on, I guess?
I would say, I mean, it's like cliche in a way, but like shoot what you love. Like,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to, like, if you're primarily working commercially as like a portrait photographer, don't be afraid to like go shoot some dogs or like some wine, some
Yeah.
still life. Like, don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think you might like, I don't know, you might create beautiful work, you might not, but I think in that you're going to learn something about yourself, which I think is much more important. Um, what you might learn is that you don't like shooting dogs or don't like shooting wine, but I think it's a very good exercise and like practice and like just developing of yourself as a person and like who you are. And I think that comes way more importantly than, learning certain technical aspects about the camera. And so push into yourself, figure out what you love, and share real world experiences with the people around you. And I think that's going to propel everything in your career. So,
Hell yeah, man. And anything you're excited about for this year?
yeah, so all that skate work that I was kind of talking about earlier, I'm potentially going to be releasing some sort of zine or book of all that work.
Nice.
So with the creative agency that we were talking about, Bleach, we we did an art show in October, and we're going to do book releases coming up, and so we're going to like self-publish that all through Bleach. And this is, on track to be one of the first books that we release. And so, yeah, I'm working on that. I'm kind of approaching it as the Bike Riders book, the classic photo book by
Dang.
Danny Leon.
Yep.
Yeah, so how he kind of approached that was actually like one of his school projects when he was in college. And then like 4 years later, he revisited all the people and then finished the project and shot updated portraits of everyone. And that's kind of how I'm approaching this. I shot all the work in college, and now, 3, 4 years later, I'm coming back to it and want to, revisit. I'm still friends with all of them. I still, hang out and go skate with them, but now I want to visually go back and see what I left unfinished and kind of wrap up that story. So,
Hell yeah,
yeah.
man.
So,
Well, look forward to see that, dude. But thanks so much, man. I really appreciate your work and your excitement for what you do comes through your Instagram. So that was really like why I wanted to have you on, and it's just
hey,
you're doing a lot of cool shit. So I appreciate it, man.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that too, Alex. I'm pumped to, I don't know, just keep listening to what you're doing too. And yeah, hopefully when I'm like over, I have family in Boston, so
Yeah,
maybe next,
hit
yeah,
me
I'm
up.
trying to visit them. Yeah, I'll hit you up for sure. So
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'll
heck
cut
yeah.
it there. So there you have it. That was the Raymond Alva interview. Just want to thank Raymond so much for taking the time to come on the show. It was a real pleasure talking to him. If you want to check out more of Ray's work, you can go to his website at raymondalva.com, as well as definitely go give him a follow on Instagram at Rapberry. I'll put all his links in the show notes so you can go follow him there. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I have a new website, thephotobanter.com, where I'll be posting all the new episodes, as well as if you'd like to support the show. I got t-shirts and hoodies available in the shop. I'll put the link in the show notes, but your support is much appreciated. And also with today's episode, if you enter the promo code BANTER, you'll get 2 months free of the image transfer tool PickDrop. All you got to do is go over to pickdrop.com, enter the promo code BANTER, and for all new customers, you'll get 2 months free. As always, thanks so much for listening and take care.